Let's talk about the data structure in Rust. We will explore how to define data types using Rust, using enums, implement functionality with the impl keyword, define methods inside the structs or the enums. The struct in Rust allow you to define custom data types by combining existing types. This is useful for grouping related data together. Okay, so for example, here we have a struct, and the struct contains some fields. Those fields contains different data types. So we can have struct which have different fields with different data types, and all of them are encapsulated in a struct called object or any other name. For the enum provide a way to define a type by enumerating possible variants. It's useful when a value can be one of several different kinds. Okay. Regarding the impl keyword, you can use it to adding some functions in related to a struct or an enum or also a trait, but we will come to a trait later. So impl keyword, we use it to define methods, actually define functions related to a struct or an enum, and those functions will be called methods, and also can be called associated functions, but it have a different parameter or different context. Okay, so the methods are functions but related to struct or enum. Let's take an example. Here we have a struct called person, and this struct contains those fields, and those fields can have different data types. So this is a struct. Okay, so now for this struct, we want to add some functions related to this struct. So we added methods and we added associative functions. The difference is the context. If you want to add a context, so I want to make function have context related to the person struct which is initiated, which have some data. So in this case, it's called methods, and you need to add this. But in case just you want to, this struct contains some general functions, can be used whatever there's a context or not. So in this case, you will do associative function, doesn't contains at self here, you can see. It just contains some parameters, different parameters based on your business needs or the needs for the functionality. For this is constructor. It just initiate new person and just return it back, and return it back with this self with capital letter. It's like alias for the object. Instead of just making person like this, no, just you put self with capital letter. That's it. So if you call this, you don't need to initiate a person. You just need to call it directly, and it will return a new instance with those default values. You will pass name, you will pass health, yes, but steps is default value. An example, this. We are calling person. This is a variable called person. It's binded to a new struct person, semicolon, semicolon, new. So if you would like to call associative functions, you need to use this, semicolon, semicolon, new, or whatever the function name or the associative function name. And you're passing the parameters you want, and you just get the object returned, which is self with capital letter, which is the person struct, as an instance, which is called person. Now we can call the methods, those methods, because there is a context now. Status have a context, walk requiring context, run requiring context, so you can use it. Okay. Now for the methods, we added this. What the meaning of this? The meaning of this, first of all, and means please borrow the instance which related to context of calling this function. Okay, borrow the instance. So what I'm saying, and self means please borrow the instance as a read only. Just read the information and use the information. Don't edit anything. So if I would like, for example, here, just say self dot name equal new name. Do you think it will accept? Let's see. It will not accept. Sorry, just like to string. See what's going on. cannot assign to self the name which is behind and reference. Okay, self is and reference, so the data is refers to cannot be written. That's the point. And one of the good features of Rust is the compiler. You have to know in Rust, the compiler is like it's a learning helper, actually. It's not just like a compiler just showing information, it's helping you to learn and to grow, actually. So now then it's said that's proposal or solution proposed by the compiler. It said, consider changing this to be a mutable reference at mute self. So if I did it, it will be done. If I do like this, save, nothing, it will work. So let's return back everything. Okay, now we initiated a person and we called status function, which just printing the status, the name, the steps, the health, the information here by the created way. Okay, and now you have like another functionality. It's called refresh health. It will be called internally, and see here, it contains mutable. And the reason for mute, because by default in Rust, variables are immutable. But because we would like to do some edit, some write, some change in the instance, we must passing mute. We must passing mute after the and. And you say what? Please I'm going to borrow you this. Don't take the ownership. That's the meaning of and. A mute said you can edit. Okay? And self, you said take the instance related to this context, which this function called. Okay? So, for example, the walk function, let's go to the walk function. It's also the same at mute self because some edit will be done. You will find that self.steps have some edit. Self.refresh health called, this function called. And when this function called, it will passing also the same instance which called here. It will be passed here and will edit the health. Okay. Okay, let's see the example, how it's going, how it's working. So here we go. Let's just reset this to know how I get this screen. So cargo watch cx run. Now you can see here the starting, that's the initial status, Mars, steps 0, health 100, walking 10 steps, walked 10 steps, health decreased 1%, running 20 steps, so 10 plus 20, and now the health decreased to 96.